Hello everybody. You're joining me today, this Friday, on the Kawasaki ZRX1100. We're on a little bit of a shakedown ride, if I'm being honest, because she's not a particularly happy bunny. I did take it for the MOT this morning, which it flew through. I was going to show that in a video, but I forgot to put the SD card in the sound recorder, and I didn't put enough Velcro on the seat to get the sound recorder to stay there, so it almost fell off. It's a bit of a nightmare ride, but rest assured, we went down to New Street Motorcycles in Broadbridge Heath, which is very close to where I am right now. And I've used them for years. They're a great shop. They have a lot of very nice machines in there right now, including a couple of CB750s from the 80s, a lovely Ducati 996, a BMW R90. Yeah, so if you like decent bikes and you need a mechanic who's going to listen to what you require and has years of knowledge, then go speak to Rob at New Street Motorcycles. He'll be able to help you out nicely. But yeah, as I was saying, this is a bit of a shakedown ride for this bike, because, as you can hear, she's not happy. So what happened was, I needed to store this bike for about a year or slightly more. It was unintentional, that's the way things panned out with 2020 being what it was. And I didn't do enough preparation for storing it to make sure that nothing got gummed up. So it runs quite nicely in the lower revs and sort of up to about 30-40% throttle. But when you get higher up the rev range and wide open throttle, it starts to struggle. It either is just running obscenely lean. Come on! It's either just running obscenely lean or it's going down and losing a cylinder. So I'm not entirely sure what the problem there is, but more than likely we've got one of the jets in the carbs, or a couple of the jets in the carbs are a bit gummed up. So I've put a new tank of petrol in it. I've shoved some Red X in that tank of petrol, and we're doing a little bit of an hour or so shakedown ride today to see what we can do to return this to normality. If that doesn't work, then we've got a little bit of workshop time ahead of us. I'll start with replacing the spark plugs, just as a bit of a Hail Mary to see if that really does help. But I think it's going to ultimately end up with us having to get the carbs cleaned or taking them off and cleaning them ourselves. Come on. What a pain. It was running absolutely beautifully the last time I rode it. But this is the next bike that will be destined for a full review. Hopefully we can get that done in the next month or so. It depends on how long it takes to get this engine back to what it needs to be. But you'll see, I guess, kind of in real time on this video, how much work needs to be done for that. Well, whilst we just pootle around and try and get some revs out of this thing, I'll give you a little bit of history about my ownership of the bike, how I came about it, etc. I bought it about two and a bit years ago, probably 2 years ago. I wasn't looking for a bike at the time, but I was just browsing eBay, as you do, and saw this wonderful green machine turn up in a listing for a very reasonable price and quite close to me. Ooh, nice Beamer. We'll leave that lorry alone. But I saw this come up quite close to me in Woking, which is about 40 minutes to an hour away, and it was about £3,500, which is extremely good value for a decent condition green one of these machines. I've seen pristine examples with low mileage of the 1100 go up to about 6 or 7 grand, and for the 1200 it's even more. So they do reach some fairly ludicrous prices, which is interesting, because They're pretty simple bikes really, and they're not performance machines. They just look like they do. And the green ones especially are the best. So anyway, I went down and had a look at it, and I guess the reason why it was so cheap was because it has little to no service history, but there is a reasonable MOT history and it all makes sense. And looking at and riding the machine at least 2 years ago, it was in pretty damn good condition to me. There's no rust on it, there's a few paint chips here and there, I think you might be able to see one here, but nothing major. And everything worked as it needed to. So I negotiated with the shop and bagged it for £3,500 and got them to throw in a major service, including the valve clearances. So with that, there's very little to actually go wrong on this bike that's serious. And even right now, it's nice to ride as long as you don't want to pin it. See, now I can't tell if I'm just being optimistic or if there is actually a slight improvement to what's going on. I mean, in the lower revs we could just surf around on the torque all day and that would be still a fun thing to do. No, it's not getting better. I think this is our lot until we can actually sort out the problem. It's so irritating. Just when you get that point where you want to start feeling the power on and slam out into the future, just get held back. Oh well, at least I look good. Can't race him. Everyone's game, but my bike is not. I think we have to accept that this is as good as it's going to get without work. Which is what you get when you don't prepare. Prior preparation prevents poor performance, quite literally in this case. Anyway, I'll see you soon.